The orbital station circling the twin suns of Verath was larger than anything Captain Ryan had ever seen. Its long silver arms extended like the spokes of a giant wheel, with thousands of alien ships docked along its rings. This was the heart of the Interstellar Union, a place where dozens of worlds came together to keep the peace. For humanity, it was the first time they had been invited to attend the Grand Summit. Ryan stood in the viewing bay of the Horizon's Light, Earth's modest diplomatic ship, watching the station grow larger. He had been a naval officer for most of his career, but now he was in a new role, representing humanity to alien worlds that had only recently learned humans existed. Behind him, Dr. Laura Blake adjusted the straps on a case filled with samples of Earth's flora. She was a xenobiologist, chosen for her ability to bridge cultural gaps through science. "Nervous?" she asked, her voice calm. Ryan smiled faintly. "Just a little. It's not every day you meet 30 different alien species at once." Their mission was simple: attend the summit, introduce themselves, and show that humans could be trusted allies. What neither of them knew was that humanity's reputation had already been shaped by rumors, half-truths, and a single misunderstanding. From years ago, as the Horizon's Light docked, the welcoming party approached. They were tall, scaled warriors from the planet Zathar, wearing polished armor that shimmered in the station's artificial light. Their leader, Commander Tarak, stepped forward. His deep golden eyes studied Ryan closely before he extended a clawed hand. Ryan stepped forward with a practiced smile and shook the alien's hand firmly. The grip was strong, almost crushing, but he held it without flinching. The Zathar soldiers reacted instantly, their heads tilted, eyes widening. There was a low murmur among them. Laura noticed it, but she didn't understand the words. "Commander," Tarak's voice was deep and pleased. "You honor me, Captain. The challenge is accepted." Ryan blinked. "Challenge?" But before he could ask, Tarak gestured for them to follow. They were escorted into the main hall, a vast chamber, filled with alien delegates, each representing their homeworld. Banners of every color hung from the high ceiling, and the air was filled with a mix of voices, scents, and strange musical tones. The Zathar leader stopped before a raised platform and made a formal announcement in his own language. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward the humans. Then, in the universal trade tongue, Tarak translated, "The human captain has offered the hand of bond. As is the way of warriors. The right will be honored." Ryan felt the weight of every gaze in the room. I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said quietly to Laura. She whispered back, "Hand of bond? I've read about it. In Zathar culture, a handshake isn't just a greeting. It's a public declaration of willingness to form a life. Alliance. Not just friendship? Something deeper." Ryan's stomach sank. "Great. So, on our first day, I accidentally proposed." The announcement spread quickly, carried from delegate to delegate. Aliens from other species began whispering and pointing toward the humans. The rumor took shape. Humans were bold enough to form life bonds with anyone, without hesitation. Within minutes, a small crowd formed around Ryan and Laura. A representative from the Avrians, a tall, feathered species, stepped forward and bowed politely. "Is it true?" The translator Chip rendered his voice smooth. "Humans will mate any alien they desire?" Ryan nearly choked. "No." "That's not..." But before he could explain, another alien, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like bells, added, "Then it is no wonder your kind is said to have no fear of difference. You bond with the heart, not the form." Laura tried to calm things down. "Our customs are different. On Earth, a handshake is a simple greeting." Some aliens nodded, but others smiled knowingly, as if they believed she was trying to be modest. The reception continued, and everywhere they went, the whispers followed. "There they are, the humans, the ones who will bond with anyone they choose. By the end of the evening, Ryan felt like the entire summit saw him as some fearless interspecies romantic hero instead of a diplomat. Back aboard the Horizon's light, Laura sat down heavily in the mess hall. "We've got a problem," she said. Ryan leaned against the wall, rubbing his temples. "You mean aside from accidentally starting an intergalactic dating rumor?" "It's more than that," Laura said. "In many of these cultures, the idea of crossing species lines for bonds, friendships, partnerships, even marriage is rare, dangerous even. The fact they think we do it so freely, it's going to change how they treat us." Ryan frowned. "And we're supposed to be making alliances, not whatever this is." But the problem was already growing. Messages from other delegates began arriving, invitations to private meetings, cultural dinners, and ceremonial events, all from leaders who wanted to test the truth of the human reputation. The next day, when they returned to the summit floor, the air seemed different. Some aliens looked at them with open curiosity, others with suspicion, and a few with clear admiration. An Avrian noblewoman approached Ryan, offering him a delicate feather from her crest, a gesture Laura recognized as a symbol of high favor. "You honor me with your courage, human," the noblewoman said. "Perhaps in time we might share a bond of our own." Ryan, trying not to offend, simply bowed. "Your offer is appreciated." The noblewoman's smile deepened, and she walked away, leaving several other aliens whispering excitedly. Laura gave Ryan a flat look. "You just made it worse." What was I supposed to do? Refuse and insult her entire clan? "Yes," Laura muttered. "Maybe." Over the next few days, the legend spread beyond the summit. News channels across the galaxy picked up the story. In the neutral markets of Tauran space, traders laughed and said, "The humans are here. Hide your daughters, sons, and anyone breathing." But others saw potential. The Colorians, a species known for their political skill, quietly invited the humans to their private council, suggesting that such fearlessness could unite worlds in ways diplomacy never could. Ryan began to realize that no matter what he said, the galaxy had decided what humans were, and nothing could stop the rumor from growing. As the first week of the summit ended, a formal announcement came from the Zathar warriors. Captain Ryan was invited to the Great Festival of Bonds on their homeworld. Refusal would be taken as a grave insult. Acceptance would seal the humans' reputation forever. Ryan looked at Laura, who simply sighed. "Congratulations, Captain. You've just been drafted into the galaxy's most awkward cultural event." He didn't know it yet, but this misunderstanding was about to lead to events that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The invitation from the Zathar homeworld arrived in an ornate container made of polished black metal, engraved with symbols that seemed to shimmer when the light touched them. Captain Ryan stared at it for a long moment before setting it on the table. "So, this is official," he said. "We're going." Dr. Laura Blake leaned forward, reading the ceremonial text. "They're calling it the Great Festival of Bonds. Once every decade, warriors and leaders from across their worlds come to honor alliances, and sometimes form new ones. And you, well, you're apparently the guest of honor." Ryan groaned quietly. "Guest of honor or center of a giant. Misunderstanding?" Laura gave him a dry smile. "Both." The Horizon's light set course for Zathar, escorted by 2 sleek patrol ships from the Union's security fleet. The journey took several days, passing through sectors filled with strange alien stations, debris fields, and glowing clouds of ionized gas. Everywhere they stopped to refuel, the crew noticed something unusual, aliens staring at them longer than normal, whispering among themselves. One night, in the station canteen at the outpost of Verka 7, a merchant from the Avrian race approached. Ryan. The merchant's feathers were dyed deep crimson, a mark of high status. "Human," the merchant said with an amused tilt of the head. Is it true your kind will choose a bond partner from any race without fear or hesitation? Ryan was tired of the question, but he kept his voice calm. It's not exactly like that. Humans form connections based on trust and understanding. It's not, the merchant waved a hand. You speak humbly, but I've heard the stories. They say you accepted the Zathar warriors' bond without even knowing their traditions. They say your people have no boundaries when it comes to the heart. Ryan tried to correct him again, but it was no use. The story had taken on a life of its own. By the time they reached Zathar, the myth had grown even larger. The docking bay was filled with banners bearing images of human silhouettes, besides Zathar warriors. Crowds cheered as the horizon's light landed. Laura stood beside Ryan as they disembarked, whispering, "I think they're expecting you to do something dramatic." "Like what?" Ryan asked. "I don't know. Maybe wrestle a wild beast or stand on a cliff and make a love speech," Ryan muttered. "Great." Commander Track was there to greet them, his armor freshly polished, his voice booming across the landing area. "Captain Ryan of Earth, welcome to Zathar. Your courage has already honored my people. Now, the galaxy will witness your spirit." The festival began that evening in a massive arena carved into the side of a mountain. Tens of thousands of spectators filled the stands, while alien envoys from across the Union sat in special viewing towers. The first event was not combat, as Ryan had feared, but a ritual of exchange. Warriors and leaders presented symbolic gifts to one another: weapons, jewelry, rare minerals, each representing trust. When it was Ryan's turn, he stepped forward holding a small wooden box. Inside was an object simple by galactic standards, a polished stone from Earth's oldest mountain range, engraved with the symbol for friendship in several human languages. Some spectators murmured in surprise. Others applauded. Commander Tarak accepted it with a nod. "A gift born of the oldest stone of your world. It speaks of endurance. This will be remembered." The next day, the festival shifted into trials of skill. These were not lethal, but they were meant to show strength, agility, and adaptability. Ryan found himself paired with warriors from 3 different species in a contest that combined climbing, running, and problem-solving. To everyone's surprise, he didn't win by sheer strength. He won by working together with his competitors. When a heavy platform jammed halfway through the course, he helped lift it so another contestant could pass. When a climbing rope snapped, he tied 2 short ones together, making a usable length. The crowd roared with approval. To them, this was further proof of the human nature they had heard about, building bonds, even in competition. After the trials, Laura was approached by an alien scholar named Vera from the crystalline people of Sealoth. Vera's voice was like wind chimes, and her crystalline body refracted the sunlight into a rainbow of colors. "I am writing a record," Vera said, "a study of human bonding instincts. Your species appears to have no fear of forming emotional ties with those vastly different from yourselves." Laura hesitated. "It's not fearlessness. It's curiosity, compassion, maybe stubbornness. Humans like to understand others. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we try." Vera tilted her crystal head. "And yet the galaxy sees you as those who will choose any bond they wish and make it real. Perhaps the truth and the myth are not so different." That night, as Ryan returned to the guest quarters, he found a message waiting. It was from the Calorian Council, a race known for their sharp minds and even sharper politics. The message was short. "Human Captain, your ability to connect across species lines may be the key to resolving a dispute that has lasted generations. Meet with us after the festival." Ryan sighed. "This is getting out of control." Or, Laura said, "it's becoming something useful." The final day of the festival was the most challenging. Ryan was invited to participate in the Circle of Choice, a traditional event where a participant stood in the center of the arena while individuals from other clans approached to offer symbolic gestures of bond. Accepting meant promising friendship or alliance. One by one, aliens approached. A Zathar warrior placed a hand on his shoulder. An Avrian noblewoman offered him a crest feather. A Psyloth scholar presented a shard of crystal. Ryan accepted each gift, offering in return a simple promise. I will stand with you if the time comes. By the end, the arena floor was covered in tokens from a dozen worlds. The crowd erupted in cheers. From the stands, Laura watched, knowing the legend had just become stronger than ever. On the way back to the horizon's light, a young Zathar warrior walked beside Ryan. You are different from what I expected, human. Stronger in spirit than in muscle, yet still, you win. Sometimes, Ryan said. But I didn't come here to win. I came here to make friends. The warrior smiled. And now, you have many. Perhaps too many. Laura laughed quietly at that. He's not wrong. When they returned to the Interstellar Union Station a week later, the reaction was immediate. Holoscreens replayed images from the festival. Ryan helping competitors, accepting tokens from dozens of species, standing proudly in the circle of choice. News headlines declared, humans embrace all. The galaxy's new bridge builder's captain. Ryan accepts bonds from 12 worlds. Is there any species a human will not stand beside? Ryan tried to downplay it during interviews, explaining that humans value understanding and cooperation, but the reporters only smiled knowingly as if he was just being modest. By the end of the week, other alien delegations began sending formal invitations to Earth. They wanted human envoys for their cultural events, their peace talks, even their family ceremonies. Some leaders were wary, believing that humans' influence could disrupt long-standing traditions. Others saw an opportunity, a way to use humanity's growing reputation to forge alliances that had been impossible before. And in the middle of it all, Captain Ryan and Dr. Laura found themselves caught between truth and myth, trying to figure out how to guide humanity's first steps into a galaxy that already thought it knew exactly who they were. The invitations kept coming. Every day, the horizon's light received new encrypted messages from alien worlds. Offers of alliance, requests for visits, even ceremonial gatherings where human participation was now considered an honor. Captain Ryan sat at the small conference table in the ship's ready room, scrolling through the latest batch of messages. 13 more invitations, he said, and that's just today. If we accept them all, we'll be traveling non-stop for a year. Dr. Laura Blake sat across from him, sipping her tea. And if we ignore them, half the galaxy will think we're rejecting their friendship. Ryan leaned back in his chair. This bonding rumor is out of control. It's gone from misunderstanding to galactic-wide expectation. Before Laura could answer, the ship's comm officer entered. Captain, we just received a priority message from the world of Zareth. Their council leader says it's urgent. Zareth was a warrior society known for its strict honor codes. Ryan's brow furrowed as the message played. Captain Ryan of Earth, the Zareth leader's voice boomed, you have been chosen to stand in the trial of worth. If you succeed, our clans will recognize humanity as a true warrior people. If you refuse, our bond will be considered false, Ryan muttered. Trial of worth? Sounds like trouble. Laura nodded slowly. In Zareth culture, it's not just about fighting. The trial tests your spirit, intelligence, and loyalty. But it's also dangerous. Failing publicly would damage our image. And winning would make the rumor even bigger, Ryan said. Probably, Laura admitted. But it might also gain us important allies. The journey to Zareth took 4 days. As the horizon's light descended into the planet's atmosphere, the view was breathtaking. Jagged mountains, deep green valleys, and sprawling cities built from dark stone. The Zareth Council greeted them at the Grand Hall, a massive structure carved directly into a cliff face. The air inside smelled faintly of metal and burning oil. The council leader, Lord Kavor, was a towering figure in crimson armor. Human captain, he said. "Your reputation has reached our highest peaks. Today we will see if it is deserved." Ryan bowed politely. "I accept your challenge." The trial of worth was divided into 3 parts. The first was a test of skill. In a large open arena, Ryan faced off against 2 Zarath warriors in a contest that required crossing a set of high platforms suspended over rushing water. The platforms were unstable, moving with each step. Ryan knew he couldn't match the warriors in raw speed, so he focused on balance. When one of his opponents slipped, he grabbed the warrior's arm, pulling him back to safety before continuing. The crowd roared with approval. Saving an opponent in the middle of a trial was rare. It was considered a sign of strength, not weakness. The second was a test of mind. Ryan was given a puzzle involving holographic pieces that had to be arranged into a complex pattern. His opponents rushed through, making mistakes. Ryan took his time, studying the shapes, and realized the puzzle wasn't just about fitting pieces together. It formed the symbol of unity from Zarath history. When he placed the final piece, the council leader nodded in respect. You see, more than most. The final was the trial of loyalty. The arena floor split into 2 paths, one leading to victory, the other to rescue a captured ally, an actor in the role. The rule was simple. The first to finish the course would be honored, but stopping to help the ally meant falling behind. Ryan didn't hesitate. He went to the trapped ally, freed them from a weighted net, and together they crossed the finish line last. The stands erupted. Zarath valued loyalty above personal victory, and in that moment, Ryan had proven the human reputation that they would choose bonds over glory was more than just rumor. After the trial, Lord Kavor approached him. "Human, you have our respect. You did not come here to win for yourself, but to honor those beside you. That is the mark of a true warrior leader." Ryan inclined his head. "Thank you. We fight for those we care about, no matter the species." That night, the celebration was loud and filled with music. Laura sat beside Ryan at the long banquet table, speaking quietly. "You realize what this means, right? After today, Zarath, we'll tell the entire galaxy you proved the legend true." Ryan sighed. "Yeah, and now every faction that doubted us is going to want their own test." She was right. Within days, messages from other worlds poured in, each one inviting, or in some cases demanding, that a human representative participate in their own cultural trials. Some were harmless, like ceremonial dances or art contests. Others were more dangerous. Obstacle courses on high-gravity planets, endurance runs through freezing storms, or negotiations with hostile tribes. Ryan couldn't attend them all, so other human envoys were sent from Earth. The results were the same every time. Humans didn't always win, but they formed bonds, showed empathy, and earned respect. But not everyone was pleased. In the shadows of the Interstellar Union, a small coalition of alien factions met in secret. "The humans are dangerous," one said, his voice low and sharp. "Not because of weapons, because of influence. Their so-called bonding nature will draw our allies away from us." Another added, "If they can unite so many worlds, they could challenge the balance of power in the Union. This must be stopped before it spreads further." They began planning ways to discredit humanity, to prove the bonding reputation was a trick. Meanwhile, Ryan and Laura attended a diplomatic dinner on the neutral station of Colora Prime. The hall was filled with leaders from every corner of the galaxy, and conversation hummed like an electric current. During the meal, an Avrian ambassador leaned forward. "Captain Ryan, I hear you will be attending the Coalition Games on Volthos. They are quite competitive." Ryan arched a brow. "Coalition Games?" Laura frowned slightly. "Those are known for being more than just sports. They're also political traps." The ambassador smiled faintly. "Exactly. Some there will wish to see you fail, human. Ryan set down his glass. Then we'll just have to surprise them. As the night went on, Laura noticed something. More and more alien leaders were watching them closely, whispering to one another. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. There was tension in the air, the feeling that they were being weighed, measured, and quietly tested. Back on the horizon's light, Laura spoke first. The next challenge isn't just about proving ourselves. It's about survival. There are factions who want to see humans fail publicly. If they succeed, the entire legend could collapse. Ryan nodded slowly. Then we can't just win. We have to show them exactly why this bonding thing they keep talking about makes us stronger. The planet Volthos hung in space like a deep green jewel, its surface covered with dense jungles and winding rivers. From orbit, Captain Ryan could see the massive stadium built on the edge of a waterfall so large it vanished into clouds before reaching the bottom. The Coalition Games were held here every 5 years, drawing competitors from across the galaxy. Officially, it was a celebration of unity through sport and skill. Unofficially, it was a stage for political rivalries, a place where reputations could be made or destroyed. Ryan stood in the observation lounge with Dr. Laura Blake, watching the planet spin slowly below them. "Any last advice?" he asked. Laura's expression was serious. "Remember, some of the teams here want you to fail. Badly. They'll try to provoke you, trick you, maybe even sabotage you. Winning is good, but staying true to what they think humans are, that's more important." Ryan gave a faint smile. "The galaxy's fearless bond formers?" "Exactly," Laura said, though her tone was dry. When they landed, the opening ceremony was already underway. Alien teams marched through the wide gates into the stadium, each wearing colors and symbols of their worlds. Cheers and music filled the air, along with scents from food stalls selling strange dishes from 100 different cultures. Ryan's arrival was met with a mix of applause, curious stares, and, from a few sections, stony silence. The first event was an endurance relay through the jungle surrounding the stadium. Teams had to navigate a treacherous course filled with rope bridges, uneven terrain, and hidden challenges. Ryan's team consisted of himself, a nimble Avrian climber named Solari, and a sturdy reptilian from Dorvac named Keltrin. They had never worked together before, and other teams seemed confident the humans would struggle. At first, the race went smoothly. Solari's speed kept them ahead on the bridges, and Keltrin's strength helped move fallen logs. But halfway through, disaster struck. A section of the rope bridge snapped beneath Keltrin's weight. He fell, hanging on to the frayed rope above a roaring river. Without thinking, Ryan dropped to his knees and reached for Keltrin's arm. Solari looped her climbing line around them, and together they hauled the Dorvac warrior back to safety. Other teams raced past, gaining the lead, but when Ryan's team crossed the finish line, the crowd roared louder than before. The commentators praised their teamwork and loyalty, noting that they had sacrificed victory for a comrade's safety. The second event took place the next day. A puzzle challenge set in the Echo Domes, giant glass structures filled with strange, sound-based mechanisms. Competitors had to navigate a maze where the only clues came from listening to echoes and vibrations. Ryan quickly realized the challenge wasn't about speed, it was about trust. Each member of the team had to call out instructions for the others, guiding them through invisible hazards. Solari's sharp hearing caught the faint sound of shifting tiles. Keltrin's deep voice boomed directions. Ryan's job was to keep them coordinated, ensuring no one moved alone. They didn't win first place, but they completed the maze without triggering a single trap, something only 3 teams managed. By the third day, whispers were spreading. The human works with everyone. He's not here to win, he's here to bond. Maybe the stories are true, but not all the whispers were friendly. In the private viewing lounges above the stadium, several alien leaders watched with narrowed eyes. "He is winning hearts, not medals," one said coldly, "and that is more dangerous than any victory." "Then perhaps we make him choose between his reputation and survival," another replied. The final event was the Gauntlet of Unity, a course that combined physical danger, mental puzzles, and sudden cooperation between rival teams. It was designed to force competitors to trust one another, even across political lines. The starting signal blared and teams rushed forward into a maze of stone walls and shifting platforms. Ryan's group quickly reached a section where the path was blocked by a heavy gate. Two other teams were already there, struggling to lift it. One was from Zathar, the other from a world openly critical of humanity. Ryan stepped forward. "We lift it together," he said. The leader of the hostile team sneered. "Why help us, human? You gain nothing." Ryan just shrugged. "If you're trapped, we're all trapped." With combined effort, they forced the gate open. The Zathar team moved on quickly, but the hostile team lingered, watching Ryan closely. Later in the gauntlet, Ryan's group reached a section of collapsing platforms over a chasm. Solari misjudged a jump and nearly fell, catching herself on the edge. Keltrin grabbed her arm, but the strain was too much. Without hesitation, one of the hostile team members grabbed Keltrin, creating a chain that pulled Solari to safety. Ryan gave a nod of thanks. "Guess it's contagious," he said. They all finished the gauntlet together, crossing the line in the middle ranks. Not first, but not last. That night, at the closing ceremony, the stadium lights dimmed. The announcer spoke in the universal tongue. Victory is not always measured in speed or strength. Sometimes it is measured in the bonds we form. To Ryan's surprise, his team was called forward to receive the Medal of Unity, awarded to the group that best embodied the spirit of the games. The crowd's cheers were deafening. As the medal was placed around his neck, Ryan glanced up toward the viewing lounges. Some leaders clapped politely, but others stared down with cold expressions. After the ceremony, Laura joined him in the quiet of the ship's lounge. "You realize what just happened, right? The coalition games were supposed to be a political trap. Instead, you just turned them into a showcase for the human legend." Ryan nodded slowly. "Yeah. And now the ones who don't like us are going to push back harder." She leaned against the wall. "So, what's the plan?" Ryan looked out. The viewport at the stars. "We keep showing them what humans really are. If they want to test us, we make sure we pass, not by their rules, but by ours." The return trip from Valthos was short, but the sense of unease on the horizon's light was heavy. Captain Ryan could feel it. The quiet tension among the crew, the way Laura kept checking the long-range sensors. They both knew why. The coalition. Games had been a public success for humans, but in the shadows, enemies were watching. 3 days later, a distress call came in. It was from a small science vessel, the Siloth Star, stranded near the borders of contested space. Its message was, "Short and urgent. Life support failing. Need assistance." Ryan's instincts said to help immediately, but Laura's eyes narrowed. "It's too perfect," she said. "The location, the timing, and the fact that they're broadcasting in a channel the hostile factions monitor." Trap," Ryan guessed. "Most likely," Laura agreed. "But if we ignore it, we destroy the legend they've built about us. We'd be proving them right if they think we only help when it's safe." Ryan thought for a long moment, then gave the order. "Set course for the Siloth Star. If it's a trap, we'll deal with it." The horizon's light dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a field of drifting asteroids. The Siloth Star floated among them, its lights flickering. Ryan led a small team aboard, including Laura. At first, it seemed genuine. The corridors were cold, the air thin, and several Siloth scientists huddled in emergency suits. But as they moved deeper into the ship, Ryan noticed something wrong. The scientists avoided his eyes, their movements, too precise, too rehearsed. Then the trap sprung. Hidden panels slid open, and a squad of armored soldiers from multiple hostile factions stepped out, weapons raised. The scientists vanished behind them. The leader, a tall insectoid with sharp mandibles, stepped forward. "Human captain," he said, "you have built a legend too dangerous to leave unchecked. Today, we end it." Ryan stayed calm. "If you wanted me dead, you wouldn't have staged this. So what's the real plan?" The insectoid's eyes glittered. "We will record you abandoning your team. We will show the galaxy that the human bond is a lie." The soldiers herded Ryan and Laura into the cargo bay, locking them in with 3 real prisoners, a wounded Zathar warrior, an Avrian, medic, and a young Psyloth scholar. The air recycler in the bay was failing, and the temperature began to drop. Ryan could feel the cold in his fingertips. "They're going to let us freeze, then rescue themselves," Laura muttered. "And the whole galaxy will see the humans did nothing." Ryan shook his head. Not happening. He looked around the bay, spotting an old maintenance hatch high on the wall. "If we can get that open, we can reach the service ducts." Keltrin, the Zathar warrior, grunted. "Too high. Too heavy." Ryan glanced at the Avrian medic. "How strong are your wings?" "Strong enough to carry rope," she said. Within minutes, they had a plan. The Avrian flew up to the hatch, tied the rope to a protruding bolt, and with all of them pulling together, they forced the hatch open. The duct was narrow, but it led toward the engine room. Moving through the cramped passages, they could hear the soldiers in the corridors, unaware their prisoners were gone. Ryan led the way, keeping his voice low. "We get to the engine room, we disable their power, then call the Horizon's light to dock." But when they reached the engine room, they found another problem. The core was rigged with explosives. If they disabled power the wrong way, the ship would blow. The Psyloth scholar stepped forward. "I can disarm it. But I need time." Ryan positioned himself by the door. "Then you'll have it." The minutes crawled. The sound of boots grew closer. Laura stood beside Ryan holding a metal pipe she'd found. "You know," she said quietly, "most people wouldn't be risking their lives for strangers right now." Ryan gave her a brief smile. "Guess that's why the rumor works, because it's mostly true." The door hissed open and the first soldier stepped inside, only to be knocked back by Ryan's strike. Laura swung at another. Keltrin charged a third. The fight was brief but intense. They held the doorway just long enough for the Psyloth scholar to finish. "Done," the scholar called. Ryan tapped his comm. "Horizon's light, this is Ryan. Dock now." The human ship's tractor beam locked onto the Psyloth star, pulling it away from the asteroid field. The hostile soldiers, realizing their plan had failed, fled in escape pods. Within the hour, the prisoners were safe aboard the Horizon's light wrapped in blankets. The Zathar warrior clasped Ryan's arm. "You have my honor, human. You could have escaped alone, but you stayed." The Avrian medic added, "The galaxy will hear of this. From us, not from your enemies." And they did. By the time Ryan and Laura returned to the Interstellar Union's capital station, the story had already spread, not the enemy's version, but the truth. News feeds replayed footage from the rescued aliens praising the humans' loyalty. Headlines read, "Humans risk lives to save allies from trap bonding legend, proven in deadly test in the council chamber. Alien leaders from across the galaxy stood to applaud as Ryan entered. Even some who had doubted humanity now looked at him with respect. The council speaker addressed the assembly. "The humans have shown that their connections are not shallow words, but actions taken in the face of danger. Let the record show. Earth has earned its place among us." That evening, Ryan and Laura stood in the viewing bay of the Horizon's light, watching the stars. "So," Laura said, "the legend survives." Ryan chuckled. More like it's permanent now. We could spend 100 years telling people the truth and they'd still believe humans will bond with anyone. Is that so bad? Laura asked. Ryan thought for a moment. No, because if they believe we'll stand with them, maybe they'll stand with us when it matters. And somewhere out there, across dozens of worlds, alien families told the story of the day humans proved their bond, a story that would shape the galaxy for generations.